All right. It should be live. Let me know if it does not go live, but it should be live. Someone check the channel for me. I didn't get a notification, so I don't know if it went through.
I did not.
Yeah, I got one.
Yep, it just popped.
Cool.
We are live.
LIVE.
Testing.
For a live crew.
Everybody can hear on their side of the stream too. You just say for live crew?
For live crew, yeah. A play on the famous group 2 live crew, but there's 4 of us, so 4 live crew.
I guess that's fine.
Sounds like the audio's coming in well from Terry's facial expression.
The audio's coming in fine from just our normal setup. I don't know if it's coming in fine from the actual stream itself.
Yep,
There's a difference.
I heard everybody. I paused because I had to listen for Terry.
So we're good then?
Yep. All right, start us off, Keith.
Sounds like we are good to go. And as you all heard, Gaines' urgent fervor, he's ready to get this started off. Welcome, everyone, to the Almost in Full Color podcast. I'm joined by the forefathers of this channel. Please, go one by one, because I don't know where I am on yours. So
this is terrible. You're supposed to introduce us, Keith.
I really wish I gotta start asking who's on what box.
No.
Point properly.
Or
that's Gaines. That's Roger, and then Terry's like.
See, that's terrible because Gaines is here, Roger is here, and then you're there.
Ah, okay. Inverted controls. Gotcha.
No. You should just go by the string. The string tells everything.
I
mean, if you think about it, the stream is the correct one.
That would be the correct one. But for those who don't know, we're joined by Roger, whose handle is Yellow Squirrel, Gaines, whose handle is Plucka, and Terry, who is T the Best.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us for all our first time and last time viewers. So a lot to talk about in the gaming world as we're getting to the end of the year. A lot of things are going left and some things going right. But first, we want to talk about Metal Gear Solid and how it very much seems as if, I would say, the soul of the game has left, in which it begs the question, as much as people call Kojima an eccentric and he's, very particular about certain things, do you feel like now that people have seen what has come with this Metal Gear Solid package, that his actions have been quite validated in his methods?
Hold on. Before y'all say anything, I'm just going to say this right now. I don't know enough about Metal Gear Solid, so I'm not going to say anything about this. I'm going to leave this to Gaines and Roger and Keith. So I'm just going to step away. Continue.
I mean, I guess for the first part is like his stamp's already on the game. So just the fact that the Metal Gear Solid 3 / Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is basically just a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, looks and feels the way it does is like super sad. It just shows like you couldn't even copy his game, like, because there's nothing, like there's no creativity or anything you needed, because you literally had the entire blueprint already of the game. It was just, hey, make it look better, maybe freshen up the controls some, because Snake Eater didn't have the best controls, to be honest. Like, most people really enjoy 4 and they enjoy 5 when it comes to controls. So they could have did that. I don't know if it's because they tried to go with the UE5 engine and they just really, I mean, it's still new for a lot of developers, so it's going to be growing pains with that, trying to, get the most out of it and make it work with the current hardware when it comes to the consoles. So, I mean, that could be it as well. I mean, just, even though they did say, hey, it was alpha footage, but like, just looking at the game, like, it didn't look the same. One, because Metal Gear on the PS2, Metal Gear Solid 3 had like a very yellowish tint, like for most parts of the game, other than you being inside. All of that was gone. So when you were outside in the jungle, like, it looked way different than what it used to look. And then Snake's model just looked bland. Like, his face looked generic for whatever reason. I don't know, like, if it's just clearer now so you could really see his face. They didn't really do much which I'm kind of leaning towards when you think about what they did with the quote unquote master collection they released, which that was just terrible. It was literally they didn't do anything to it, and they just like pushed it onto the consoles with no improvements. Like they said it was 1080p, but it turns out it was actually just 720p, which is the exact resolution it ran at on the PS3 when they released the Legacy Collection. So it just seems like Konami just doesn't know what the heck they're doing with a title like Metal Gear Solid, which is, I mean, you're talking about a top five game series right there. Like Metal Gear Solid is definitely one of the kingpins of the gaming, especially stealth gaming. I mean, it's number one. So it's just like you're just ruining what that stood for. And I don't know. It just, as a longtime Metal Gear Solid fan, like sadly, I didn't even buy the Master Collection because of how bad it was. And I want to get Delta, but seeing what they did with the collection really made me scared to even see what they're going to do with Delta when it comes out. Because I'm like, you didn't put any effort into the Master Collection, which was guaranteed revenue. And it feels like what they did was they just rushed it out the door, probably to just infuse a bunch more money into Delta. Maybe they're having pains in development and they just needed like a quick cash grab. So they're just like, hey, we can do a Master Collection. And it literally was just the Legacy Collection with actually less games on it. So then they split it up into 2 volumes. So you can kind of see it was almost like to get more money out of it. But yeah, I'm not even looking forward to Delta anymore because I'm kind of scared what the final product's going to be. And this is going to be bad. It'd be like if Square Enix messed up Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know, it would just like, it really stains your love of the game. And Keith obviously is a huge Final Fantasy fan, Final Fantasy VII being his favorite one. You know how amped you were and excited for that. So you can just imagine how I feel is like you're taking a game, my favorite game of the Metal Gear Solid series, like, and now I can't even look forward to the remake because I'm actually scared of it just sucking and not living up nowhere near the expectations. And then it's just like, great. You know, I have a horrible, horrible game that really just put a black eye on the series, even though it's Kojima-less. So you can't blame Kojima, but it's still going to just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
What Gain said.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just the case of like the main person leaving. So you're trying to gather as much revenue as you can, but it loses that little touch. Like I think Kojima would have made it go longer, like even the remakes, because he'll be like, we didn't do anything, or the Delta, probably let's not release any footage till we get it perfect before we even continue. So I think it would have delayed, where now it's just like, hey, we'll just pump out Metal Gear Solid. I mean, kind of saw a little bit with like Halo once Bungie left, like kind of went down a little bit. You lost the Bungie-esque of Halo. And there's other examples too, I'm sure, in gaming I can't think of right now, but it's just that the main person left and you're just seeing the, hey, let's just capitalize and the quick turnaround or something like that, because it seems like the collection, they just put out the game like Gain said, and Delta, it was the alpha footage. So hopefully they improve it, but it's weird you would release that anyways. Because you would think, you like Gain said, you would want that yellow tint, or at least a way to switch it on and off, like something to play like original, but
it was odd. And kind of like what you said, like if Kojima was leading it, I feel like he probably would have added in things that probably did not make Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Like on the original game, like I'm sure there was content that was cut. There's always stuff, you know, that you have that grandiose vision of what you're going to do, and it never comes to 100% fruition. There's always stuff you have to take out, and that's not, you know, Metal Gear Solid thing. That's all games, all big titles like that. So I feel like he would have been like, you know, that content we couldn't get in, or maybe those features we couldn't make work to make the game run stable. Like, this is our time to really enhance not only just the graphics of the game, but also like the story, like, you know, maybe add in a few more areas or levels that were part of it but just got cut. And then I just hate they changed the name. Like, why is it called Metal Gear Solid Delta? It's clearly a Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake. Like, why are you not calling it Snake Eater? I don't know if it's some licensing issue. I don't know if it's like, Obviously, Kojima's no longer with them. Could they not use the name Snake Eater? But then that doesn't.
That's what he
make sense.
copyrighted.
Yeah,
just
it doesn't make
copyrighted
sense because they just put out the Master Collection, but I guess technically it's not called like Metal Gear Solid 1 or Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of the Patriots or anything like that. I have no idea like how that thing split between them, but I would assume Konami just owns it all. I would highly doubt Kojima has any, ownership of the Metal Gear Solid series, but it's just weird. It's just weird that they didn't even want to associate it with Snake Eater and just called it Delta. It just, again, that just scares me. I'm like, it just doesn't even seem like it's going to be good, but whatever. I don't know. I'll just be disappointed. At least I got Super Mario RPG. I love you. I love you, Nintendo. That game looks so freaking great. I cannot wait. Cannot wait till Friday.
And then the disappointment for Super Mario RPG sets.
No, I've seen too much on YouTube, and I'm just like, oh my god,
things as well. I was
like this game, that's how you supposed to have done it. That's just how you do a game that's an all-time great game. That's like revered as an all-time great. You put a lot into it. You could tell, like Nintendo, they could have got away with a quick, like they could have just
remastered the game.
Yeah, they could have just like cleared up the textures some or something, and it was still so like crazy, and people have been happy. But like they really went into that game and like gave it a lot of love, and that's what you should do for a title like that. All right, I'm done.
So you're saying I just need to buy the game at this point?
No, Terry, you play the original first.
No, I've seen you play it enough. I'm good.
Have you seen it enough?
The amount of times games have streamed it, I think I've seen enough. I think I'm gonna be okay playing the remake.
It will be streamed at the stroke of midnight. Technically Friday, I guess.
Yeah, I think Kojima is validated in the sense of, the business side was always, when is the game coming out? And Kojima's was very always particular and precise, and much like Dr. Dre with his forthcoming album that we still haven't heard. But Kojima just always super precise, and he just wants things to be a certain way. And it was always, we put so much money into this game, like we need the game now. And now you kind of see what happens when you don't have a Kojima, to where it's like, yeah, you got the game out, but this probably wouldn't happen with Kojima at the helm of this. Like he wouldn't allow, he probably would have seen that and fired everybody and just, I'll do it myself. So that's just how eccentric he was, and just, they say it's difficult to work with, but he put out bangers. So it's kind of one of those things to where it's like, you can't, like you could say something to him, but it's like, I
mean, that's what happened with Metal Gear Solid 4. Metal Gear Solid 4, Kojima wasn't even supposed to lead it. And he like seen it, and he was just like, what the heck is this? And he was like, no, I have to come back. And then he like buried himself in the game. And obviously Metal Gear Solid 4 is a all-time great game as well.
Yeah.
So just shows.
Yeah, so hopefully Konami learns from this, but probably not.
They're not.
But
they're Capcom. That's who Konami is. They're literally Capcom.
Yeah.
They just take a great
Capcom's turned
title.
over a new leaf lately, so
they did. They are doing good with Resident Evil, so I take that back. Capcom.
We'll see.
But you haven't brought up Mega Man Legends, so you still.
If you're watching this at Capcom, please disregard games. just disregard whatever he's saying at this moment.
No, we need a Mega Man Legends remake.
Yeah,
he may be correct on that part, but he knows no better about trashing you. Please disregard.
Literally, it's just a printing money machine. Almost like a money printing machine.
We take 50% of all revenue from this venture. Just we'll drop the bank account for y'all later.
So moving on to some kind of smaller news, but some maybe telling news. Xbox has put out partners of Xbox have informed people who bought certain second or third hand controllers or peripherals that theirs will still work. And this has led some to come out and say, yes, pretty soon some of these third hand controller or third party controllers will no longer work on the Xbox. So a lot of people are now in disarray trying to figure out who is partnered with Xbox right now that makes peripherals and things for the Xbox that will still work, and who has basically spent hundreds of dollars on third-hand controllers that will no longer work. They say it's to combat like cheating and things of that nature. Do you think this is just to prop up their partners, or do you think there may be something else at play why they would begin to ban third-party controllers?
Oh, go ahead, Terry, since you didn't speak last time.
Oh yes, I get to go first. They're probably just trying to take it more in house. I mean, this is what Sony did. They stopped kind of going out to, what did they do? They partnered up with Scuff, and they were like, "Yo, anything else that attaches to our PlayStation, we'll probably ban you." So it's probably just more so like, "Hey, we're developing stuff in house now, so here you go. No longer use these other things. Buy what we have already out, or what we will have out." It's probably just more of an accessibility thing that they want to make sure they can control and stop people from doing whatever they do with it.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it, it's probably one of those things where it's like two things can be true at the same time. Like, obviously, I feel like they probably are trying to prop up their partners who, I don't even know who they're, I guess like PDP and people like that would be like kind of third party partners. More of the more so name brand, I guess, alternatives to the Xbox controller itself. But I could definitely see them banning other controllers to kind of push you more towards those. If you can't afford a $60, $70 Xbox controller, maybe you can afford like a $40 PDP controller. But also, it's probably a good thing as well, because there's so many, like, it's a lot worse now than when we were coming up. You had like Mad Cats, you had like Logitech. You probably had like maybe 2-3 third-party controllers outside of, the main controller. But now, I mean, you're talking about, it's like Georgie Boo and Huku and all type of other control. You go on Amazon, it's like 100 different types of third party. Yeah, they're not even third party. They're probably like 13th party controllers coming from overseas. So, and in a way, a lot of those controllers be trash. And people buy them because they're cheaper. And then you get them and you're not happy. They don't really work the way you think they're going to work. They're not as accurate. They're delayed. It's so, I feel like it's, in a way, even though, yes, it's beneficial to them and to their partners, it almost like kind of protecting the consumer at this point, because the controller situation has just gotten ridiculous when it comes to that type of stuff. And I mean, God knows what they could put on those controllers from a, virus standpoint, or, who knows. But, and then also, yeah, I mean, now you got a lot of the Zen and all that type of stuff where people can actually cheat the games just through straight controllers. So, I mean, that's why I feel like it's probably like a double truth. Like, yeah, it's helping us make more money because it's kind of funneling people back into the, maybe 2 or 3 different avenues, to speak as Terry would say earlier, but 2 or 3 different avenues of controllers that you can purchase, but also kind of just protecting you from like just those crazy off-brand controllers that, I mean, really, that's really all you see anymore. I very rarely see any other like more well-known brands show up anymore on like Amazon and stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, we grew up in the age where the third-party controller, no one wanted, so that pertained to me throughout life. That was the controller you handed to the friend that came over to your house.
Except the Logitech wireless on the PS2. Those were clutch. That was clutch. But other than that, yes, they all sucked.
So, yeah, I mean, in the sense that, I don't know, it just became better to buy them. I do like how Nintendo had I forgot the other company name, but like Power A and the other one license.
Yeah.
I thought they did that pretty well. So it's like, a lot of people think you're buying just a Nintendo Switch one because it's officially licensed. But it is yeah. So it's
good stuff too.
So they kind of did it well, and I like it. And those controllers are pretty good. But yeah, overall, it's just the third party got messy. Even a lot of the name brands like Mad Catz I think they got way out of that. I know a couple of the brands that we used to see just moved on to other stuff or more PC. So I'm big on it does help the consumer not buying these cheap controllers that's going to break. Because that does tarnish Xbox a little bit. Be like, oh, this Xbox controller sucks, so I'll go get a PlayStation. Some people think like that. So it does help. But yeah, I mean, obviously the money part's always there. But third party is always like, anytime I hear like, oh, here's a third party controller, I'm instantly like, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this was done to help out with cheaters. So rumor is apparently some will actually get bricked. Some third-party things will end up becoming brick and unusable after if you try to plug into your Xbox. It's just a rumor. But I know a lot of cheating is apparently a little bit more accessible on console now than in prior times due to hardware plugins and whatnot. So I guess with that, I feel like they are trying to help mitigate that to lessen the job on devs to figure out how people are cheating and what they're using. And we'll get into that in a little bit with this whole Bungie thing. But I feel like part of it is to help out so that devs don't have to have too much of a security team looking into how the game is being breached or being exploited with whatever it is that people are finding a way to do, because for better or worse, people love doing that type of stuff. I've never really understood it, but people just love to find a way to break a game or to cheat in a game, and it's not something I really find enjoyable, but people find it enjoyable, and there's a pretty seemingly profitable market off of cheating. So to each their own, but not my cup of tea. But yeah, I feel like it's just to help with the cheating culture that's existed and is now seemingly flourishing, as we've seen in many different streams where someone will have their aimbot left up or just other cheats that they have running on screen or a script they have going to do something. I feel like this is just a way to help mitigate some of those aspects to make gaming more wholesome for all parties involved. All right. Now on to our bonus topic I had to come up with on the fly.
Bonus topic.
So it seems that the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 campaign was not well received at all. Now with them seemingly, rumors that this game was rushed out. They were supposed to take a little bit of a break, let this war zone kind of do its thing before they punched out another mainline game. Now we got one not doing great. They're trying to follow that EA Madden method. When do you let this horse die? Of the every year cycle.
I mean, I thought Call of Duty should have been stopped this a while back. Because it's so tough because, we lost games. We'll continue.
All right, I'm back.
Oh, he's back. But, like with Call of Duty, I think most people now just buy it for the multiplayer anyway. I don't think that really changes anything. If they let it die, then cool. As long as their multiplayer is able to be sustained for that long time. Like if they decide to go to a 2-year time frame of being like, hey, Call of Duty is now out for 2 years only. We'll put the new one out, within those 2 years or whatever. As long as they can make it work, I think it'll be fine. But it just requires them to make it work, though. But I don't buy Call of Duty for campaign. I don't think really I don't think anybody buys Call of Duty for the campaign.
Whoa, don't salt Keith like that.
I think that's why they put the campaign out early, is because they were looking at the data and they was like, well, no one's really playing the campaign. How can we incentivize people to play it? And it's like, well, if you pre-order it, here, you get the campaign X amount of weeks early. And then when the game actually launches, which is a multiplayer, then you'll get access to that. But here's the campaign to like chill out with until that time comes. So, which last year I think was the first year they did it, and it went really well. Granted, that campaign was really good. So
yeah, I will say I think it all depends on if the campaign's good. If the campaign's good, everybody's gonna be like, oh, that's crazy. But it won't matter because at that point you already have people that pre-ordered the game, so you already have the numbers for how many people did it. Who cares if the campaign's trash? Maybe the next year they're probably worried about it, but the current year, hey, look, we had 70,000 people pre-order the game. We have profited. They hit the numbers that they were asking for. Here, we're gonna go tell our shareholders, look how many people pre-ordered the game. Isn't it still great that we're doing it?
I feel like if Call of Duty got 70,000 pre-orders, everyone would jump out the window.
They probably would. They probably would. But I'm just saying, it's just like
they will burn that building to the ground. We hit 70,000 guys. They like kill them. 70,000. That's not gonna put tires on my Ferrari, Benjamin.
Oh yeah.
You sure Zero's not missing? Please, for the love of God.
But it's just like one of those things. It's just like nobody's pre-ordering a game. I guess if they really want the game, I guess they're doing it. But it's just not worth it to do anymore.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hear the question. My phone almost died, so I had to plug it in, or else y'all wouldn't see me anymore. So
you're stuck on my screen. It's quite comical, actually.
He has he has disappeared on my screen, so it's fine. We have his AI.
I'm going to jump back in.
No, you're fine.
I can answer.
He's back. I don't know. Continue on.
So, yeah, I'll answer. So it would be nice to have like a 2-year cycle. Just for consumer things. I mean, we kind of see games lasting a little longer. I'll pick on Destiny. That one, Destiny 2, I don't know how many years that came out, but they kind of support it with DLC, give or take how you like that. But like, it would be nice for Call of Duty instead of like the 70-year, like get a little more life out your game. Because once the new one comes out, your old one's pretty much dead. You take a huge hit on the user base, which there's still some that stick around. But it would be nice on that aspect. Obviously, Call of Duty was printing money, as Gaines referenced earlier. I mean, you could make any Call of Duty. Everyone was buying it to play the same multiplayer, pretty much. And that's what I think is probably going to happen this time. The multiplayer is still going to feel Call of Duty. The campaign, like I said, people were looking at it. I looked at it today, but I agree with Terry in the sense not many people play it as much as they used to. But it's just something to point out that's like, hey, this one's kind of crappy, but I know a lot of people probably aren't even looking at it. They're trying something different, I guess, to draw people in to make it feel more like the multiplayer, it sounds like, which didn't work well. But yeah, at the end of the day, I kind of like a longer cycle just to get more into the game, and you could probably update it, fix some stuff, add new maps instead of the yearly.
Yeah, it's crazy because when the Modern Warfare 2 came out, they're very happy with the strong reception it got. And it seemed like from the talks that they would just do a 2-year cycle. Hey, this game plays well. Everyone loves the weapon setups. Warzone doing great. Microtransactions booming. It seemed like everything was doing very well. They initiated their whole battle pass and season. And then they had the raids and all that stuff that they were dropping episodically. So it seemed like, oh, okay, this game would have a 2-year lifespan. And then it was like, oh, we're punching out 3. And at that point, I always thought it was weird because, yeah, I understand they want to do the whole Madden thing, but I feel like you split your community at that point, like pretty like harshly in a way. You have a lot of people who are happy with what they got. And if you have, what came out before the Cold War one? I forgot
Is Cold War or Advanced War or Advanced Warfare?
The most recent Cold War one.
I'm on the WW2 World War II.
Nah. I forget what came out before that last Cold War one, but everyone hated the Cold War one that came out, but everyone loved the one that came before it. So it was like, well, you split your whole community just to give this game that everyone hates now all of a sudden. And then that Vanguard game, I think that came on after that, everyone also hated. So just a real bad setup for them. But I don't know. I hope they go I imagine Warzone and multiplayer are going to be fine. I think it'll sustain them 2 years, but hopefully we do start seeing a little bit of a longer process in their development cycles, just so those games just get a little bit more to them. But who knows, if everyone hates zombies, I'm sure they're going to end up like pushing out a whole other game just because it's not Treyarch zombies. And that's just a thing that they can hang on to. If it's not Treyarch zombies,
well, apparently
then it's
their
like,
zombies. Their zombie has been great for the past 2 games. I think this one has been trashed like really badly, and the last one they did was pretty bad too. I don't think anybody liked any of them.
Well, the rumbling is that their new zombie game or zombie mode is supposed to be like basically genre changing. Like apparently they're saying that they could like redefine the whole zombie mode now. Granted,
I looked at somebody playing it. I wasn't too thrilled. It looked
that's what the
Warzone.
article said, but it could have been a paid article. Who knows? But
The
were just
gameplay I
saying,
saw looked like you were in Warzone and you were like in a different area that just was zombies, and that was it. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. It was no rounds. They said they had like did away with rounds, but that was like some insider who dropped a thing. It's since been taken down. So, so I can't even reference that video anymore, but it existed, I promise. But with that, now that we've seen Modern Warfare 3 get this hit, Starfield didn't get the acclaim that I think a lot of people thought it would get, or maybe just because we had a year of like just such great games, Starfield just got really overshadowed. Couldn't tell you. But with all that, do you think that the Xbox stopping power that was buying all of these developers has been not as shiny as one would think it should be at this point in time? Or do you think it is what it should be?
It's been what, 3 years since they started this? 4 years?
Since they started
Probably
what?
4 since they started buying up devs. But the last 2 were the big ones, Bethesda and then Xbox this year.
Well, hold on.
Or
So,
Activision Blizzard this year.
who did Starfield?
Bethesda.
I think for a Bethesda game, it looked like a Bethesda, like it just looked like it at that point. I don't think we really can say much about it. I mean, Bethesda hasn't done much since
Skyrim.
Damn, why am I having terrible trouble trying to figure out what games they've done recently?
Skyrim was the last.
That's because they haven't done many recently.
Well, they made Fallout 76.
Well, Fallout 76, yeah.
Well,
it just came out very bad, but apparently now it's better over time. But
they did the whole No Man's Sky thing with the reboot of 76, Fallout 76.
Oh yeah. They kept working on it. Apparently now it's actually I guess playable good game or whatever. But their last like
it's Bethesda anyways.
Yeah, it's just a Bethesda game at this point. I mean, you played all the other games that they've done beforehand. You're just like, oh, all right, this is kind of cool. I think Skyrim at the time was just like, yo, this is amazing. And as we've seen, since they've done it, 10 times, they remastered that game. So obviously they knew what they were doing. It's just maybe at this current moment, they probably were like, oh, we've done this before. We can just redo something similar. And hope that, I mean, we've seen it's been well received with Skyrim. Let's see what happens now. And it probably didn't work out very well.
We gotta wait for the good set of mods, and then it'll be good.
You can tell. I mean, you could tell Starfield was kind of set up that way. Like a lot of people complain about the emptiness in Starfield, but I feel like that was. I hate to say it, but I feel like it was purposefully done because they are well aware of how good their modding community is. Yeah. And to Bethesda's credit, they do feed into the modding community extremely well. Like they give them, pretty much full access to a lot of the tools and stuff to like really kind of give them a push of like, we support mods for our games, like, mod it up. And it was almost like Starfield was built to give you a bunch of places that's like open and just ready to accept new content. And it was like, we'll let the mods fill this out while we also are probably working on DLC in the background.
I'll say that's why people still play Skyrim. I don't know anyone that plays the just vanilla Skyrim. It's always with mods and stuff like that. So that's just how Bethesda is to me. It's just that PC modding. So any games like just a launch pad for mods to come out.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, in a sneaky way, it's almost like they get to release a game and then they're like, our community is pretty much going to like take care of the rest of it for us, fix any little issues, add in more content, add in new game modes and game styles and ways to play, and people are going to buy it and just keep the game alive. Like you said, kind of like with Skyrim.
Yeah,
it's like completely transitioned from what Bethesda even made. It's not even their game anymore.
It's just so weird because, I mean, Xbox was like, yo, this is going to be the game that is going to change everything. It was out for a week and everybody stopped talking about it. I think it was only out for not that long and everybody was like, all right, well, this is kind of stupid. I'm going to something else now. probably not even longer than 24 hours, maybe 48 hours or so. So it's like it's not able to hit that same thing that Skyrim hit, but it was just like I think a lot of people expected more of it, and it didn't deliver what it was supposed to do.
So if you're an Xbox, are you worried that Starfield comes out from your big acquisition of Bethesda, and then Modern Warfare 3 comes out in your big acquisition, and both of those seemingly are, I guess the story isn't done for Modern Warfare 3 just yet, but it's off to a real shaky start. If you're at Xbox, are you kind of like, we might have fumbled the bag on this one, or are you okay with how things are?
What's PlayStation?
Well, Modern Warfare. Yeah, let's say. I would say Modern Warfare. I don't think you can count Modern Warfare in this one because I mean they bought it pretty much a month ago was the whole official thing, so they didn't have no control on that. So it's like I mean they didn't say, "Hey, make Call of Duty for us in a month."
So I mean, kind of like what Roger said. Like I really, if I'm Xbox or Microsoft or whatever, I'm not. Yeah, it'd been nice if Modern Warfare 3 hit because they've been like kind of icing on the cake. It's like, hey, we just bought them. We really didn't have anything to do with that title. And boom, like we have crazy success off that title. And I don't believe the multiplayer is out right now.
No. Not until the end of Friday.
We all know Call of Duty is all about multiplayer anyway. So once the multiplayer hits, if the multiplayer is good, even close to what Call of Duty is expected to be, especially the Modern Warfare part of Call of Duty, they'll be fine. But I feel like Starfield did what Starfield was going to do. Like, it's kind of weird to say, like, you either are a Bethesda gamer or you're not. Like, it's not going to bring in the mainstream gamer. It's not going to bring in the casual gamer. That's just not what those games do. Like, you either like Bethesda style games or you don't. And Starfield fell right into that. So I feel like they probably did a lot of success with Starfield. And it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, look, we hit the crowd we're going to hit. And that's what we hope we got more people, but we kind of knew what this was going to be. And I feel like it did that. But their next Modern Warfare, like you said, will be the one they're doing. And then they got games like Elder Scrolls 6 coming up. So, I mean, they have some more heavy hitters coming down the line. And kind of getting their own hands-on approach now with the studio, with Activision, and with those developer studios to kind of push them in the direction that maybe they want them to go and not be a 200 some odd studio company that just supports Call of Duty. So I don't know if maybe moving those studios off Call of Duty made the campaign struggle. Who knows? But they made it known that they did not want pretty much all of Activision just being Call of Duty support anymore. They want them to work on IPs that kind of got killed off to support the money train that is Call of Duty. So
wait,
I don't know.
Hold on. The acquisition of Activision, is it Activision Blizzard or is it just Activision?
Yeah,
side?
Both.
Yeah,
so
Yeah,
both
it's
of them.
Activision Blizzard. Yeah.
and don't forget Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even though the two games may not have hit, I mean, you still have the Blizzard side of it.
Yeah, you still
So
have WoW and
I'm
stuff,
sure they're
so.
raking in. Well, they just closed the deal. I think back on October 13th, I believe it finally closed and went through. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Got another
I'm
question.
sure within a year or two, they probably would have recouped a nice amount of that purchase price.
Did Activision also get rid of like all the small developers they had underneath everything as well?
What do you mean?
I
Get rid of them?
believe they laid off some people, but I think the dev teams themselves are still intact.
Yeah, because
I know individuals were let go from like each team.
Yeah, because they had Vicarious Visions, which helped out on Destiny 2, getting it to PC. They had what's the team? Who did Spyro?
Tony Hawk. How can you forget Tony Hawk?
Tony Hawk too. They had like a bunch of small like divisions that helped out with all this stuff. I didn't know if they also laid them off or it was like, yo, you're gonna be assimilated into our developers at this point.
I brought up Tony Hawk specifically because that's always pictured along with it. The acquisition. They talk about the Tony Hawk with the visions.
I mean, it would be good if they still kept like all of those guys, because if they still kept like the smaller developers that were there, they can be like, all right, well, here, we'll give you all some money so y'all can become indie companies and just do whatever you want now, instead of you being like, you know, pretty much Call of Duty's bitch at this point. But
yeah, well, I mean, they didn't let those studios go or anything that they said wouldn't be supporting Call of Duty. They just basically said we own you still, but you're free to possibly work on the IPs that you used to work on, because like a lot of games just like died that no longer got made because those. I don't even think Rare was anything other than Call of Duty support.
Rare wasn't Rare.
I think Rare might have been. Were they already part of Microsoft? Because Rare hasn't like made anything in I don't even know how long.
Weren't they 007? Wasn't that Rare?
They did a lot of classic games.
Yeah. I mean, they used to be a top like game developer, but then it just disappeared. I mean, they still got. I think, funny enough, Microsoft actually, when they bought Activision, they actually have the rights to Spyro the Dragon now and stuff.
They're Sea of Thieves.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I guess they're doing pretty good still then, because I know that game is. I guess it does pretty well.
Hold on. Continue on. On. I'm gonna look and see what they are, because I could have sworn
Wait, Sea of Thieves the good one? Which is the one that's like struggled?
Is the good one. That's the one that Microsoft has. I forgot the name of the other one that.
So then Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones.
Yeah,
that's the Ubisoft one. I think that's Ubisoft. Okay. Yeah, I don't even think that came out yet, has it?
No, it still hasn't come out. I think they said like February of next year or something. They like finally will have it out, but I don't know. I'm convinced it's like a money laundering scheme with that somehow, some way. Out of all the money that they said they've punched into it, I'm like,
oh, that Project Dream. Okay.
Project Dream.
No, my Terrors on Earth, but
no,
something shady.
No. Yeah, I'll say Sea of Thieves was decent. I mean, after it started off rocky, but afterwards, like, I don't know if how a lot of people still play it now, but Sea of Thieves was actually pretty decent after they revamped a little bit of it.
I think they just did DLC or something for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. Yeah. They did just drop DLC. Oh, I said I assume people are. They seem to be constantly adding content to it, so somebody's buying it.
Yeah. It's probably not a lot of people. It's probably a very small niche.
Hey, all you need is a group of whales to keep you afloat.
You're not wrong.
I mean,
you're not wrong.
So,
I mean, they went crazy when the Kraken was released in there.
The crack. They couldn't help it. Crack epidemic.
Oh, continue on, Keith. Keep going.
All right, let me get into this long-winded Bungie mess that has occurred. All right, so just reading a little bit off of here. Says that the Bungie higher-ups forfeited their annual bonuses before laying the people off. The people didn't know when they got laid off that they forfeited their annual bonuses. You know, they're just now finding out.
Don't forget they lost
not their bonuses, a portion of their annual bonuses that nobody knows the percentage of.
And don't forget all the employees lost stocks. They lost their stocks in the company.
Oh, yeah. I was getting... well,
continue on.
The 1.2 billion in employee retention from Sony was spent long ago buying out employees' Bungie shares, which then went to Sony. I don't know how to read this in particular. I've read it 4 times. So I'm I don't understand what they did. They spent the 1.2 they got from Sony. They went and got the shares up out of their employees and then gave it right back to Sony. I don't, if that was some part of the deal that Sony got X amount of shares in the company when they were bought.
Well,
Sony used it as low key bonuses. Pretty much they're like you said, some of their developers or whatever that they let go didn't get any shares because their shares didn't get vested because they didn't work there long enough. So the people who had vested shares, I mean, you just have shares of the company. So they probably was we can buy them from you. And they might have actually bought them at a premium. They might have bought them at more than what they're worth. Maybe they gave them a 20-30%, increase on, say if it was $20 a share. Maybe hey, we'll pay you $28 a share for all the shares you have. And that's kind of a keep you, but you got to work here for X number of years if we do that. Type thing. Kind of like how if the government pays for your schooling, you got to work there for so many years until, you pay that off. So they might have did that because that's how you would be able to retain those people. You give them money, but you also shackle them because those same people are probably say if you had, I don't know, a bunch of shares, they gave you a $50,000 buyout of your shares and maybe your shares only worth $30,000. And they said, well, you got to work here for 5 years or 3 years. I mean, not too many developers are going to be able to come up with $50,000 to leave. Because when you leave, they want that money now.
Oh,
Like
hell
it's not a payment plan. It's not, none of that. It's no, you owe us $50,000 flat up front right now, or else we're gonna sue the hell
Well,
out
it's
of
even
you.
worse because you get it taxed when you get it too. So when they want the
Exactly.
50,000 back, you don't have the
You didn't even
original.
get paid 50,000. Like you probably only got like 38, maybe 40 grand out of that 50, and they want the whole 50. So now it's like, dang, I end up losing 10 grand just to leave. So you really just kind of make them indentured servants at that point until they finish their contract. So that's probably how they retained their talent, quote unquote, retained. Is just shackled the hell out of them with money, but with super clause in that contract. And that's why they spent 1.2 billion in 1 year.
Yeah. Apparently, the expensive building that was built for their new facility had nothing to do with any of these layoffs at all. And
That money was different color money, Keith. We lost Keith.
We lost Keith.
Bungie caught him talking.
I was gonna say, no, most of their people work from home anyway.
They need a new building. Terry, how you gonna get people to come back?
Like they literally
nice fancy building.
They put out like this statement not that long ago. They were like, here's they started hiring people in different locations now.
Yes.
I don't know if they took away those
their fancy building.
I don't know if most of those people did get laid off though, but they were like, yeah, we're hiring now in like I think New York, California,
until our fancy building gets finished, and then it's a massive return to work.
Well, they also had that huge no, never mind. They won that investigation. Never mind.
That is weird that they built a crazy expensive building in like premium real estate area in I think California, and it's like nobody want to work in an office, right? Like it's like the worst investment timing possible, but apparently it didn't have anything to do with them not being, I guess, quote unquote profitable. Because in their words, they said if it wasn't for the Sony buy, they would not even might be a studio at this point. Their whole studio would have been in jeopardy. I'm like, how? How is this possible?
Because they're building expensive buildings.
They're up in where is it? Washington. That's where they're.
Oh, they're in Seattle. Okay.
Yeah. Bellevue, Washington. But it's like,
okay, Keith is back. He can.
I didn't know I left.
It looked like your thing freaked out, at least on mine.
Yeah.
Well. So also they said their 45% miss, although important, was not illogical when they made their estimations. However, Lightfall apparently sold really well, and that the Eververse is actually doing really well. When I read this whole thing, it seems like something does not compute. It's like, all right, so hold on, you got bought by Sony. You were able to spend all this money to get these shares out so that they can go back to Sony, I guess, to give them their cut as part of the deal. You got this brand new building. Lightfall did well. Your Eververse did well. We knew Witch Queen sold really well, and that was like one of your peak points. And we knew Lightfall actually sold real well because the player count was like super high for that first, week, and then it dipped real bad. But we knew people playing Lightfall content was very high. So do you think that there is something else going on as Epic had a big layoff this year? I know Microsoft laid off some people, but theirs wasn't as extreme. I think Epic laid off like 800 people or 900 people earlier this year or something to that effect. Just all throughout gaming, like this year, like kind of silently, people just began to let go left and right. So do you think this is just following a trend of something else that's going on with AI being on the come up? Do you think that's being utilized and leveraged, and they found an easy way to cut some people out just out of like, hold on, I'm just going to go into chat GPT and just plug in our narrative beats and I'm going to have this thing just write me something real quick.
It might be like a bunch of different things, actually. You can probably start with COVID. Not gonna lie.
I think that's what the effects are from, because games, I mean, they're not developed in a year. A lot of them, that takes a couple years. So the COVID thing, they probably finally put out the game. Now they kind of have the impact showing for the next set of games, and so now they have to start doing the cuts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you had people
Yeah.
what in house or in their houses for 2 years. Most of them were probably playing video games the whole time, so you probably saw a huge spike that you're like,
Oh
"Yo,
yeah, there was a huge
Yeah.
uptick in gaming, like in game sales and everything. It was up by like it was like 30%. It was like
mhm,
some massive increase in gaming like revenue over COVID because like you said, everyone was stuck in the house, just buying games, buying all types of stuff.
yeah."
So
Like you just have all these people playing video games, so of course you're gonna see an uptick in your population. And I think everybody's like, "Yo, we have to find people to manage this because you probably still had the same amount of people before COVID, didn't see the same amount of numbers, and now you have almost double, triple maybe your numbers." And then you're like, we have to find people to now monitor all this or whatever the case ends up being. Monitor, develop, just protect the game itself. So we have to hire people. Well, now COVID's done, and everybody was like, we don't need these many people now because now we're not at those numbers anymore. We don't have X amount of people playing the game. We have a lot less than that was at that point. So it's like, well, now we don't need this department we decided to build up. I think a lot of companies are actually going through that phase now of like built up way too fast instead of just doing a gradual increase. And now it's just like, well, we hired 30,000 people that we don't need anymore. Uh, get them out of here because we're not at those same numbers anymore. I think it's just
yeah.
businesses just didn't pay attention to what they thought was going to happen after COVID was done. Or maybe they never thought COVID was going to end and we weren't going to have what we're having now.
I mean, I look at it. Well, I'm gonna speak just on the Bungie situation about this whole thing, but I look at it like there's probably a few things that did go into this. I would say probably a lot of massive bonuses for top like people in the company. It was probably what a lot of that money went to was paying them and giving them massive bonuses and stuff like that. Also, I feel like that Bungie is really probably without saying so looking to transition to marathon. Like I really think that that is their like kind of goal. Like they don't want to kind of kill Destiny, but they've been working on Destiny for what 10 years or more now. Like I don't think they really
Yep.
even have anything, like not like fall, but Final Shape is supposed to be it. It's supposed to end the what is
Mm-mm.
it? The light
The
It's
and
the
dark.
light and dark saga. There's
But I don't think
other saga.
no, yeah, it's marathon. That's the next saga. I don't really think that they have anything past because they've already came out and said that there is no Destiny 3. Like they are like even with all this going on, they were like, yeah, no, there's no Destiny 3. And I think they're really looking to transition away from it, which I think they want Marathon to go, and I think Marathon is probably eating up a lot of money to develop that game, and they say that the Final Shape is actually like really well with like and solid in its gameplay and the features that it's supposed to come with. Like it's actually really, really far along, even though they pushed it back to June of next year. They were saying that it's actually really like it's not like it's struggling or anything, which makes me think that they just released all those people because they said, well, we can push it and a smaller team can probably finish it, but it'll just take longer, but it'll be cheaper to finish the development. So we can push it back and we can just, like you said, the Eververse is selling, things is selling. So it's like, well, let them just ride with this content for a while. It wouldn't be the first time they made us ride with stale content for, you know, 20, 30. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like what, 6 months, 6, 7 months we was playing the same thing. So it's not like this is out of the norm. It's happened before and Destiny bounced back. So I think that's kind of what they're hoping is that, Final Shape, because they said they want to put it more into it. They said they want it to be like Witch Queen and Forsaken, but even better, even better than those two. So I don't think it's going to be all that. I really think that it's going to sell well because I feel like everybody who plays Destiny is like, I'm going to play this, finish it out.
I've invested.
Yeah, I'll say
I've invested. I might as well see where this train gets off at.
All right, I got it. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah, but I think it's just like what ends up happening right now is what happened when Bungie wanted to get away from Halo.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up.
Because it's like they really wanted. They were like, "We're done with Halo. We don't want to continually do this. We want to do something else. Like, let us do something else." Microsoft was like, "No, you're gonna keep bringing us money. We love Halo. You know what the deal is." So it's like I think right now they might be like trying to figure out a way to get away with it, but they really can't get away from it right now because it's the only thing bringing them money, and nobody else is gonna sit there and be like, "Hey, we know what you've done." But well, Sony did that the first time. Then they were like, "We're getting away from Sony," but now we're back with Sony, anyways.
Yeah, they repeated history both ways. They want to make a new game and sign with another.
Bungie had a lot of huge aspirations. They were like, "We want to make a new game, but Microsoft's not letting us. We're going to go somewhere else." During that time frame, they're like, "Hey, we don't want to be a part of a publisher. We want to be the publisher. Let us do it. We're going to do it ourselves." Didn't go well. And now they're like, "Sony, you got money for us? Can we take some of that money off of you?" So I don't know. It's going to be weird, and it'll be interesting to see what happens from here on out, especially since now. Has it been confirmed that it's pushed back, or is it still just rumors?
Yeah, no, it's confirmed. It's funny. They said they knew like 2 or 3 months ago that it was being pushed back.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So they
like all these they probably knew way before then too. They probably just giving us a random ass timeline of like, "Oh, we've known for a couple months now," which probably explains why they never increased the cap for the levels. They're probably going to do a huge cap increase on the next one. And then be like, "Well, here's 6 months for you to get through it," even though half of everybody will be done with it in 2 weeks, a week.
I don't think there's going to be. I don't think there's no more seasons until
there's
one more. Or what you mean?
There's one season left.
One more season.
Okay, well that season's supposed to last until June then.
Yeah.
They said they're going to have something in between.
Solstice. They're not going to be able to get away with another 30th anniversary pack.
We'll see.
They're going to give us
I think that's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to come up with something like that, like they sold us that 30th anniversary pack. That's something
32nd anniversary. Is that would that be right?
When did 30 come out? 30 was last year or the year before?
I can't remember.
In between, it was last year. It was in between Witch Queen and.
No, it was It came out with the. Damn it.
I mean, before Witch Queen.
Oh, Beyond Light.
It came out with Beyond Light. It was packaged in with that because you could buy it all together for like $99.
2 years. Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
I remember you could buy it all together, or you could bought it separate or something. It was like a whole thing. But
32nd anniversary. There you go.
Somebody brought up a good point though. Yeah, I kind of thought it was funny, and they were like, "It's funny that everyone like how Sony purchased Bungie." Or I guess purchase their knowledge. I don't know how really that deal is, but they're like they purchased them because they were apparently the live service like gurus, and they were like, when did Bungie become live service gurus? Like they had one hit with Destiny, like, and you think about it, there was nothing like Destiny at the time, so there really was nothing to compete with because there really wasn't a live service game, like a Destiny. Like it was very, at least for that time, it was very different, and even then, I mean, you think about it, like the early Destiny was not good. People just like, it was nothing like it. We just suffered through it. The story was horrible. That was the running joke. Nobody knew what the story was. It was so like terrible, and
but it was so addicting for some reason though. The gameplay
exactly like people
so
just suffered through like a unfinished, unpolished game constantly. Until what Destiny is now, which I guess you can still argue it has its holes, but people just kind of stuck with it. So think about if Destiny was what it was back then, but it was going up against the games of today that's already kind of sunk their claws into successful live service games, would have ever succeeded, or would have been like an Anthem or something like that, to where it would have been like, yo, this game is buggy, like it has all these issues, like. Yeah, I'm not playing that. And you just went back to the game that's already got all your time and investment because it was like, yeah, I'm not leaving my game for this game.
It probably would have went down the same road that what happened after Fortnite came out. when everybody was like, "Yo, we have to make a battle royale. Look how crazy this is
Mhm.
going."
Yeah, you couldn't compete with Fortnite. It was like, oh, that's great. You made like a Fortnite, but I already have Fortnite.
Yeah, it's
Like,
like
why would I leave Fortnite? I already have it. Like,
I think
stop
we
trying
only
to make a
have
Fortnite.
what 2 games that have actually are actually probably in competition with them. Maybe not as much anymore, but what Apex and Warzone. Those are the only two games that have come out that everybody's like, this can compete
Yeah.
with it. Like Fortnite or Warzone is doing its own thing. I don't think it's as crazy as it was. And then Apex Legends, they went competitive with their side of things. So it's like
Yeah. So
kind of
like it was just funny when I heard that. I'm like, yeah, like they had one hit, but like they got seen as like the godfathers of live service games to the point to where apparently they can axe a whole game at Sony by just looking at it and saying like, no, no, factions is not it. That whole game needs to be trash, and they just like X the whole game after who knows how much time and money was put into that game. So I don't know. I guess they have some crazy pull over there.
So there are a lot of let-offs, and one that the whole community was upset about was that of Michael Salvatore, who has done the music. He even was responsible for some of the Halo music that was done. And I'm guessing he probably finished the music for Final Shape. He's like, guys, I finished it. They're like, good, pack your bags. We'll take that. Thank you.
oh yeah, no, all that music
This is the
probably
only
done.
copy, correct? This is the final one, the only one. Like, yeah. I don't understand why. I always give you guys the final copy. Okay, thank you for your service.
Maybe not.
Here's your final goodbye.
Yeah,
Because what was it? Lance Reddick only did his lines up till the current season, or
Yes.
yeah.
So maybe they didn't finish the music, and maybe his music isn't finished.
Oh,
I would imagine it would have to have been if Final Shape, because they said Final Shape is pretty much like good, but they want to make sure it's great. So
yeah, Zavala may not have had that many lines in Final Shape.
Well, no, they hired Keith David Lee to take his place and to do his lines.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so, they replaced him.
Or maybe it doesn't take long to do the lines. Like that's not a huge part of like development. It's probably like I'm not saying not a lot of work. It's probably a lot of long hour days, but it's probably like we can knock it all out in maybe like a couple weeks. But you're probably here for like 10 hours a day, just like saying your lines.
I forget which way they do theirs.
But they might bring in the lines like later.
I think it might be later because I think they get everything already situated and done, and then after that they have the voice actors do their thing.
So maybe that's why he hadn't done his lines yet. It just was like a later down the line type thing when they get to come in and do their job.
Yeah, he normally
I'm terrible.
He is. He definitely is. I think at the time he would like tweet out. He'll say like, "Yo, I'm kind of like doing my recording for Destiny and stuff like that." That's what he used to do. He would come out and basically be like, "Yo, it's time to start recording," and he wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm recording for X season." He would just be like, "Yo, I'm doing my Destiny 2 Zavala lines now." Not sure how far back he was before he passed away, but but most likely the music's probably not done.
I brought up the music composer getting fired because earlier I talked about, do you think they're leveraging AI in some way, shape, or form? And that's why we see some of these layoffs happening. Do you think that at some point in time they will leverage AI to say, okay, well, here's a compilation of this guy's music style. Can you kind of like pull out this sound, or can you compose based off of this, and that AI will be able to generate something for them that's kind of catered to whatever sound that they're looking for, thus them not really needing a music composer anymore. It's just plug and see what I get out of this machine.
I think there might be some legalities to that, though.
Yeah, I think you would leverage music, but not the way you mentioned. It would probably be to generate kind of your own, but not based off of someone's style.
Well, I mean, they could base it off his style, to be honest. Like, I take it like this. Instead of basing off his style, like, kind of think what Keith was kind of more so saying was, like, you could just feed them all the music you have for Destiny so far and be like, use this to create a music soundtrack. and you would be able to do that legally because in this case, Bungie owns all of it. Like once you create your work, like Bungie owns it. You don't own anything you make there. No matter what you did for it, none of the developers own any of their artwork or anything. Like everything, kind of like the company you work for. No matter what you create while you're working for them, for any project, like they own that. You don't have any rights to that. They can do whatever they want with it, because they technically, in a way, kind of own your creativity while you're there.
Unless they did the contract. I know a lot of actors have. I think the only who is it? Is it Robin Williams? Is it Robin Williams that has the craziest contract that nobody can use his likeness in anything?
Well, yeah, no, that's different. But I'm talking about when you create the music, that's what you created for them, so they own the output of that. But now, if you were singing on it, then yes, that's different. They can't use your voice without, your permission or anything like that. So
I thought it was the same way.
It's weird, but they can use the music you created unless you're like singing on it or something. But I'm sure they just strip you out of it. Take that instrumental. But I don't know. They probably won't use AI for stuff like that for quite a while, just because right now it's so frowned upon in that space.
Yeah, I will say it's such a weird area to
especially since games rely on writers and stuff like that for so much. I feel like it would just generate another like writer strike or artist strike and things like that. In the gaming sphere, they just went through it. What movies?
Well, they're still going through it. I think the actors side.
I thought they came to an agreement, but they still haven't like finally. Oh, okay, okay. I knew they came to some type of agreement, but may not be like fully finalized to where they actually put pen to paper.
Yeah, writers can go back to doing their work, but I don't think actors can go back to doing their work. That's why you don't see anybody doing the press tour for like any movies that are about to come out here. Like you probably haven't even seen anything about the Marvels coming out or anything like that. So like they can still do the studios can still do their trailers, but nobody's out promoting any of these stuff.
I know Ubi recently has posted a bunch of images of assassins that were created through an AI and asked like what people liked, and a lot of people like, as game sales is very frowned upon. Is like, hold on, so you're just running this through like an assassin generator and trying to figure out like who we or what we would like to see in our next assassin. But it was weird that they posted it to their page, and a lot of people are like, man, like we wonder if this AI thing may infiltrate before we even like really realize that or maybe it already has for them to just so boldly put it out there.
I think it's already has. I mean, I guess like how games work, it's kind of like a tool right now. Like, I don't think you're completing like whole projects now, but you're kind of starting it as a base. A lot of artists are doing stuff to get ideas and continue off that artwork and stuff like that. So I think there's already been like AI touches here and there from stuff already. I mean, Skyrim's famous has a Chat GPT mod that you can talk to the NPCs.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. A lot of games now use AI to actually do their remasters and their remakes, to where they allow AI to basically touch up a lot of the, I guess, more. I don't want to use the word remedial, but the more like
mundane.
I guess maybe mundane, but like those type of thing where you're like doing the whole background, like for instance, the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition that everybody hated. They use AI to upscale that pretty much almost the whole game.
Your graphics card's using AI now for computers to upscale and touch up and add frames.
They do that to to kind of help with the workload for devs, so they can focus, I guess, more so on the character models and animations and things like that, and they kind of just let AI touch up all like the background assets and things like that, to where it's like, this is just going to be just, I guess, busy work, for lack of a better word. It's like, we're going to touch up so many of these assets that are like the same thing. And it's just going to be like, this is just grind work. And it's like,
better than touching them all up.
Do that. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, just let AI do that, because people aren't really focused on those models anyway. they're kind of in the back. You're looking at the character and the animations and the things you're doing in front of you. It's like, so if they're not 100%, no one's really going to care that much, except for maybe a digital foundry who really dives into stuff like that. But, the average player is not going to notice it. So
yeah, I think you've been in tool world for a while of just, like Gain says, doing some of the work already. They probably already did the music thing you talked about, where it's like they probably get some samples and then expand upon it and stuff like that already.
Well, let's come to our unnamed segment where we like to recommend a game to you all to
terrible
to
terrible
check out.
recommendation.
Super Mario RPG comes out November 11th.
OG
No,
Fortnite.
November 17th. I'm sorry.
Fortnite.
No, November 17th. Yes.
Fortnite
Comes out not this Friday, but next Friday. Go play Super Mario RPG.
You know
Support
what?
Nintendo for putting their heart and soul into the greatest game ever created.
You know what? Here you go. Learn to play the Pokemon TCG. There you go.
Go buy 30 copies.
Paradox Rift just
30.
came out. Go buy Pokemon cards, and then give them to me.
Buy digital and physical. That's how you support Mario RPG, so that we can get many more like it.
Buy physical and give me the cards that you buy. I'll take them all from you. You don't need them. Just buy them. I'll take care of the rest.
So I'll do a upcoming game. Like a Dragon Gaiden comes out next week.
God.
So continue the story, see what Kiru's been up to before Infinite Wealth. So
you not play anything else, Roger? It sounds like you're like me with Pokemon. Jesus Christ.
Hey, there's a storyline.
Pokemon has a storyline. What you mean? Past and future. Hold on. I got
Pokemon's rinse and repeat.
I guess if everyone's doing upcoming games, I'll join in the fray. I guess I will recommend an RPG called Tales of Arise, but a DLC called The Dawn is coming next week on Friday. What's that?
That's a long
I don't even
DLC
know what dates
name.
are.
That is definitely on very
Probably they put the actual day in their DLC title.
The 11th or the 10th.
The Dawn is coming Friday.
Sounds like
So it's November 10th. Tales of Arise will get his DLC coming out. It's supposed to be 30 extra hours of gameplay, so sounds like it's going to be a great time. If you haven't played Tales of Arise, it's a very, very amazing
You
RPG.
know what's crazy? Keith says all
I'm disappointed in Keith. That's what's crazy. You missed the whole topic.
Keith does all this thing about how games are
I figured we was going to roll that into the next one since we didn't have our decade thing to go. So I figured game of the year and then the best decade could get rolled into one.
Okay. All right.
And I believe we're at like an hour 20. I know we try to keep these things
long.
I only got this one thing to say.
Because they're never short. We usually just get on here and ramble, and then it's like an hour and a half of talk.
Yes.
Keith always says these games are like only 30 hours worth of gameplay, and he's done within like 12 hours. I hope you understand how much work he does when he comes to these things. The game comes out today. Next thing you know, he has a video out the next day of him completing the entire thing.
It's not without great sacrifice, all right?
Just by 3.
The sacrifices, he says.
In your room. Oh, no. Dad, another DLC? Yes, to your room. I'll slide your dinner and lunch under there when I get time.
Oh, moderate. Hour 13. All right. Well,
short.
Yeah, I thought we were at an hour 20. My sense of time has been.
Yeah, that would be a big difference. Hour 30 and hour 20. That would have been egregious.
Well, I was going to do it for this one, you all. We'll be back soon. You know, we have our Christmas Mario Party edition coming, or holidays. I forget. I'm supposed to say
Christmas
holiday
Mario Party. Christmas Mario Party. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we'll have that coming, and a podcast where we go over Game of the Year and if bugs should diminish a game's polish or prowess.
Yoshi will win this year. Mark
I think that's
words.
what bugs do.
Sign us off.
With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Hit that notification and subscription button to catch us in the next one. And as usual, peace, be blessed. Don't let the AIs get you.
Yoshi will
do
win.
that.
Yoshi will win.
That's our sign off, Roger.
Okay.